Jasmine Crockett, who is a darling in the modern Democrat Party and a rising star, has been making headlines recently over a poll that was conducted showing that Jasmine Crockett was leading the 2026 Democrat primary for U.S. Senate in Texas. Now, Crockett is known for her progressive agenda and very outspoken style, to put it nicely. But now that begs the question of if Crockett is running for higher office in Texas and what that means for the Texas Democrat Party. We know Democrats have been locked out of statewide office since 1994. That was the last time Democrats won a statewide office in the state of Texas. The last time they had any chance to clinch any power statewide. But today we are going to be discussing Jasmine Crockett and the political realities of Texas and the 2026 Senate election in Texas. Now, Jasmine Crockett is currently a U.S. representative for Texas's 30th congressional district since 2023, representing parts of Dallas. She's a former public defender and Texas House member known for her extremely viral confrontations on social media, like clashes with Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert. Now, she's a progressive Democrat, very vocal on issues like gun control, like abortion, like DEI and transgender initiatives, and gained a lot of national attention for her fiery rhetoric. But critics argue, and many agree, that her style alienates moderates, not just Texas voters. She alienates Democrats, Republicans, independents, moderates in both parties. Now, although she has not officially announced a Senate bid yet, she has hinted at it many times in recent post on social media, on recent interviews she's given, and then the most recent poll showing that Jasmine Crockett, the representative from Texas, was leading a Democrat primary for U.S. Senate in Texas. She was leading by 15 points over the only declared Democrat candidate at this point, Colin Allred. Now, right now, we know Republicans are facing an extremely tough situation in Texas, where you have incumbent Republican Senator John Cornyn, who is seeking a fifth term and is facing a primary challenge from the right. He's facing a primary challenge from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Now, we know Texas will remain a Republican stronghold. We don't have a doubt about that. This state voted for Donald Trump by almost 14 points in 2024. But still, Republicans will remain the dominant force in Texas politics. Because remember, no Democrat has won statewide since 1994. It's been more than 3 decades at this point. But now, this new poll from the National Republican Senatorial Committee shows Jasmine Crockett leading a hypothetical Democrat primary with 35% support, ahead of Colin Allred at 20%, Beto O'Rourke at 13%, Joaquin Castro at 13%, and undecideds at roughly 13%. Now, the filing deadline for candidates is December of 2025. So look, she's got 5-6 months at this point if she decides she wants to run. And the Democrat primary is scheduled to be held March 3rd, 2026. Now, looking at the Republican primary in 2026, John Cornyn, it's clear. He leads with more moderate, traditional Republicans, while Ken Paxton is dominated with the more MAGA conservative voters, which is going to set up a very contentious primary for the Republican Party, which ultimately, I believe, if it gets as heated as we believe it will, this will hurt Republicans in the general election. Regardless if it's John Cornyn, is it Ken Paxton? I think Ken Paxton has a lot of baggage. I do. But I think if Jasmine Crockett were to somehow get the Democrat nomination, it wouldn't matter who Republicans nominate. Go ahead, nominate Ken Paxton, because Democrats have absolutely no chance of winning this race if they nominate someone like Jasmine Crockett. They just don't. She has no chance of winning. If you want to win in the state of Texas, you need to be able to appeal to moderates, independents, and really Republicans. You need to be able to do that, because without that, you really don't stand a chance of winning a statewide election in the state. This is a state that's been dominated by the Republican Party for decades at this point. And really, we think Jasmine Crockett, the most ratchet person we could possibly find in all of Texas, is going to be the best person who's most well-positioned to win in 2026. That's kind of a joke. It really is a joke. But we're going to see what happens. Because she's showing in this poll strong support among Democrat primary voters, especially younger voters, minority voters. Now, the big question, would she be able to take away more minority voters away from the Republican Party? We know minorities swung to the Republican Party in huge droves in the 2024 election. Would she be able to capitalize? Would she be able to gain some ground back? Even a point or two? What would the landscape look like, especially if she's performing better with minorities in the Democrat primary? How does that translate to general election wins? Now, we know that she has a bold, confrontational style that resonates with a lot of progressive activists. They like the performative politics. They like the massive blowups. They don't care about being pragmatic or bipartisanship. They just don't care about that. They care about getting in people's faces. That's what they care about. Why do you think Democrats love Cory Booker right now? Because he stood up and filibustered for 25 hours, and it did nothing to stop it. Did nothing to stop the bill that was going to pass. It's performative politics because that's what Democrats care about. They do not care substantively about changing anything. They don't. They want to get up there and grandstand and be a performer. That's what the modern Democrat Party wants. They don't care about getting things done. They don't. They want to go out there and play performative politics, which, good for them, whatever. Because obviously that style of politicking has boosted her national profile. She's an extremely social media savvy individual with viral moments drawing attentions to her campaign's potential. And she also represents a diverse urban district, which she's got a real loyal base in Texas. Like, let's be honest about this. But it's a Democrat stronghold. She represents a Democrat stronghold up here in Texas. Jasmine, look, Republicans didn't even run someone in this race. A libertarian, they ran here. That's the best they had. Democrats or Republicans didn't even run someone in this race here, which is ridiculous. But that's where we're at right now. That's where. But someone like Crockett could energize the base. I think she could energize the base. But in the same sense that a Republican, like a MAGA Republican, could energize the base in Arizona or Pennsylvania, but you don't have appeal to independents or moderates. Look, the Republicans have made this mistake many times over again. Look at the gubernatorial elections from 22. Okay, Doug Mastriano, he was much more of a MAGA conservative, but he lost to Josh Shapiro in a swing state by 15 points. You nominate Tudor Dixon in Michigan, a state that voted for Biden-Trump by like less than 3 points all in all. And you nominate Tudor Dixon, who's definitely more on the right side of the Republican Party, and Gretchen Whitmer steamrolls her by 10 points. The same thing happened in Arizona, where you nominated Carrie Lake to be the nominee. And look, we have got a Democrat governor. There's even a Democrat Secretary of State in Arizona, which is just ridiculous. You can see what poor candidate quality does. Poor candidate quality. And this is not just a Republican thing. Democrats have done it as well. Just so happens Republicans have done it a lot recently. Look in Pennsylvania. They nominated Mehmet Oz. And all of a sudden you have John Fetterman, who wins by 5 points in Pennsylvania in a year that should be good for Republicans. Same thing in Georgia. You nominate Herschel Walker. And then all of a sudden Raphael Warnock wins re-election by 3 points at the same time when popular governor of the state, Brian Kemp, wins re-election by 7.5 points, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So this goes both ways. Let's be honest. This goes both ways. Look at Blake Masters, 2024. Carrie Lake in Arizona. It's like, really? Really? This is who we're going to nominate? This is who we are? This is what we're going to do? They energize the base, but they don't have the appeal to moderates or independents. But look, Jasmine Crockett will struggle. Texas has a conservative lean to it, which makes a Democrat Senate candidacy very unlikely. And Republicans have held every Senate seat since 1990 in the state of Texas. The last time Democrats won in the state of Texas, and that's on the Senate side, was 1988. That's when George H.W. Bush became president. And I wonder, you go back to 1988, look at that. Bush wins Texas by 12 points at the same time when they elect a Democrat senator. Interesting. Times were very different back then. Very, very different back then. Very different times. But look, Jasmine Crockett, in her extremely progressive stances that she has, like supporting assault weapon bans, will not align with Texas's broader electorate, more conservative electorate. And polls suggest that Colin Allred has a stronger general election appeal against Republicans. That's what it appears right now. That he would perform much better in a general election over someone like Jasmine Crockett. You can see right here, against John Cornyn, Allred's within 4 points. Against Paxton, he's within 2 points. Within 2 points here. So it's like, look, if Democrats give her the nomination, I think the election's over, basically. They already face an uphill battle going against an incumbent, whether it's Ken Paxton, whether it's John Cornyn. It's going to be a tough election for Democrats. It's going to be a tough election for Republicans as well. There's no doubt about that. But if Jasmine Crockett wants any opportunity to win or actually do anything, she needs to become much more of a moderate, have appeal to independents. But it's just not going to happen because she's a crazy nut job just like AOC is. Crazy nut job. And yes, could Democrats exploit the Republicans if they nominate Paxton? He's got a lot of baggage. They nominate Colin Allred, who probably has the best chance of winning the seat. I don't think Democrats have a big shot of winning in Texas, but he's probably the best shot that they have. You know, that's the best they can hope for. You nominate Crockett, yeah, she's going to energize the base, but she faces long odds in a state that favors the Republican Party. But all in all, to wrap things up here, Jasmine Crockett's potential 2026 Senate election bid is a bold move, but her progressive stance and polarizing style makes a victory in a general election very unlikely. Because Texas voters prioritize conservative values, giving a Republican like John Cornyn or Ken Paxton a clear advantage in this election. While Jasmine Crockett could shake up the Democrat Party and energize the base, flipping this Senate seat remains a steep challenge for the Democrat Party. But folks, that is going to wrap things up for today. Remember, stay tuned for any updates on the Texas Senate election in 2026 and any decisions. We will be here as things evolve for the 2026 Senate election. We will be here to bring you the updates. So as always, folks, drop down below, hit that subscribe button. Make sure you never miss another video from us again in the future. And folks, we will catch you next time.